Welcome to the Mama's Well podcast, where we are digging deep into the gifts and the gaps of foster and adoptive parenting. I'm Tara Hutton, and I'm glad you're here.
Mama's Well.
Yes, she is. Hey guys, welcome back. If you are new to the Mama's Well podcast, let me tell you what we got going on. This is a parenting podcast, but we're not only parenting children, we're learning to parent ourselves, to reparent ourselves, to unlearn some things that may not be serving us. We are becoming more whole on our parenting journey. And so if that sounds like something that you are interested in, then you're in the right place. And so welcome. Today, right now, we're in the middle of I'm calling it a series. And it's a series based on Sherry Eldridge's book, 20 Things Adoptees Wish Their Adoptive Parents Knew. And, you know, I might not go through all 20 things, but there have been some of them that I have found to be really profound. And as I'm meeting adoptees, I just ask them, you know, what resonates with you? And so today I have a guest here that I got to meet through a mutual friend, and I am so thankful that I have met her. She is well qualified to talk about this stuff. She was adopted when she was 8 years old, and much of her life before that was spent in foster care. I believe she had maybe 7 placements, and she is a beautiful lady. You're going to love her. I already do. And so let me welcome Monika. Monika, tell us a little bit. First of all, say your last name for us.
Reynoso.
Reynoso. Okay, and I meant to ask you that before. I wanted to get it right, and I didn't want to say it. So Monika Reynoso. Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I wanted to know, we've only talked about this much, and I loved it. Mm-hmm. Before we get started on the backstory, tell us just a little bit about you today, currently, your family life and what you do and that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, I'm a mom to 3. Okay. I have an 18-year-old stepdaughter and a 12-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. I work at an elementary school, and I work with kids with autism that have behaviors in the classroom. And I live in Katy. I go to lots of volleyball games, baseball games.
Okay, you're a sports mom.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, I was a teacher too, and so that's you're working with kids that have a lot of special needs, mm-hmm. big needs, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Do you have a special education certification? Or?
No, I'm a paraprofessional right now, but eventually I would like to either work in my church with kids with special needs or be a behavior specialist.
Got it. Yeah,
so working on that.
Yeah, you have a lot of. They're growing your patience because that's that requires a lot of patience. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so you told me, this series, like, it takes a really brave person to talk about this stuff, and so I reached out to my network and I said, I need some brave people. And a friend of mine, Amber, said, I know the person. And I'm so thankful she did. You told me over the phone that telling your story has helped you heal. And so, you know what, just listening to your story helps me heal. And I know it's going to help a lot of other people. So thank you for doing that. Let's go back to as far as you can remember. When do you first remember thinking something's not right? What's your first memory of that?
I'm not really sure, but I know that I was like 2 or 3.
Okay.
And just started going to different homes. I went to like my aunt's house, and they had like 3 other kids, and we stayed there for a while. And then we started just going to different foster homes.
Okay, and this was, when you say we, I forgot to mention that this, you and your little brother.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And he was like, how, 2 years younger? 3?
We're 18 months apart.
Okay.
So pretty close in age. Okay. But yes, he fortunately got to go everywhere with me.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And so you were about 2 or 3. Your mom, did you ever remember thinking like, is she coming back to get me when you would go to like your aunt's house or wherever?
I think I was too young to think about that.
Okay.
Like it was fun. I think she lived up north somewhere, and so we were around snow. It's much different than Florida where we lived.
Oh, you literally went to a different state.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So you left Florida.
Yes.
And did you wonder like why am I going to?
I don't know
You don't
if I
remember
did.
that? Okay.
No.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what? At some point, let's see. I think you told me you were about 4 years old, and so between 2 and 4, you're moved around 6 different places. You said.
Yeah.
Eventually you were placed in a foster care situation, and what were their names? Becomes your family.
Oh.
Your adoptive family. You were placed in foster care with them.
Yeah.
And is it Colbert?
Yes.
Colbert's. Okay.
Artie and Leslie.
Okay.
Yep.
And so you moved into their home. What did it feel different? I mean, tell me what you were experiencing, and then what was the difference?
Well, they said that I immediately came in and started calling them mom and dad, and that they were pretty taken back by it just because, it's the first time meeting them.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that also made them excited. I just remember it was very comforting, just a loving home, very stable.
Yeah.
So,
And that you had not had that before.
Yeah.
What was it like before that in different homes?
I remember some placements, like I remember an Asian family, and they didn't really speak English. This is my memory as a
Yeah.
3-year-old.
Sure.
And like eating cheese and crackers. I remember another home where they had several foster care children in their home, and I remember them like forcing my brother to eat peas. And I remember them like using a garden hose to like make him eat it.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Yeah.
So pretty terrifying.
Yeah. That is.
And that's my brother, and so I've always had a very protective role with him, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And are you still close?
Yes, he
Yeah.
currently lives in my house.
Oh, so you're really close.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So you move into the Colberts, and you immediately feel different. You felt like this was safe. This was stable.
Yep.
Okay. And did you think, when is this going to end? Or did you think, I mean, what did they tell you? I mean, I know this is so hard. When you think back, what do you remember?
I don't know if I ever thought I would just leave. I'm sure I had to have thought that I would. I mean, I remember, going to visitations with my bio mom. I also remember going to like doctor's appointments with my guardian ad litem and stuff like that. So I don't know if I ever thought that maybe they were taking me and I wasn't coming back. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
But I know that I didn't want to leave again.
You didn't want to leave.
No.
And I think you told me that you had a really unique relationship with the guardian ad litem. Yeah. What was that like?
She was just like another mom figure, or maybe like a fun aunt. She had a daughter my age that she adopted, and so we became really close. And they're not really supposed to do things like that, but she just took my brother and I like under her wing, and we got to be a big part of her family.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you still have a relationship there?
We had lost contact for a while, but a few years ago I found her on Facebook. Yay, social media.
Yeah.
And so I got to go see her and introduce her to my family and my kids, and it was so much fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really, and you had a special relationship with your caseworker too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But I haven't really talked
Okay.
to her
In a while, but it was,
Yeah.
was it a similar kind of situation that you felt loved?
I just felt loved. I don't think it was exactly the same, but yeah.
That's neat. That's very, very rare.
Yes.
Yes, that's beautiful. So you were beginning. You told me that you were placed there when you were 4, but you weren't adopted till you were 8.
Yes.
That's a long time. Okay, tell us about that.
Well, my parents were only doing foster care.
Okay.
They were not doing fostering to adopt.
Okay.
And I think, I'm not sure who, but somebody was like, you know, you guys are a good fit for each other, and would you consider adopting? And they were like, of course, yes. So I think they had to go through that process too. But my bio mom also had to relinquish
her rights.
Yeah.
Okay. So was there conversation in all of that? I know, again, you were young, but by the time you were 8, I mean, that was a long time. I mean, was it something like, okay, we're trying to adopt you, it's going to happen, or were you just kind of in limbo, or?
I think we just kind of fell into like natural family.
Okay.
I don't really remember, you know, conversations of me asking or them telling me. I think I just I was just happy that they were my parents since I got there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. So you didn't really struggle to accept that belonging?
Not then.
Not
no.
then. Okay. When do you remember feeling like you were pushing away? Or would that define what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of think like maybe when I got adopted, you know, like when it became official, just that sense of my identity, I didn't know where it was. Like I came from, you know, a mom that gave me up, essentially, is how I looked at it my whole life. And then I had parents that wanted me, chose me, and I just struggled with, I don't know, that's hard.
Yeah.
You're losing someone and then gaining.
Yeah. You know, I've read this, and I couldn't quote it, but it was something like, and it wasn't about specifically adoption, but it was about trauma. And that a lot of times we can't really begin to heal or to experience that loss until we feel safe. And maybe that adoption was like, okay, it felt final, and then maybe it kind of allowed you to open up and to start to feel some of this stuff. You know, if you're trying to get a job, like, okay, you're trying to get a job, right? You're working really hard, you're on your best behavior, and then you get the job, and you're like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? That same kind of maybe. Does that resonate?
No, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe, I'm just maybe. Okay, so what started happening? You're now 8 years old. You've been adopted. You truly have a family. You truly belong. You know, on paper, right? You belong there. Did you feel like you belonged?
I'm gonna say no. We moved from Florida to Katy when I was adopted a few months later, and I think that's when things started, I guess, really affecting me. My grades started dropping. I was struggling academically, and I think just really struggling with who I was. And those are a crazy time in our life anyways. You're trying to figure out who you are. So I think having my past and, you know, being young affected me.
And a huge transition. Was your mom in Florida?
My bio mom?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were literally big life change just happened. You got adopted, and then another big life change is you're moving.
Yep.
So you're separating. So I would say that definitely could have been a trigger. You know, obviously some things can't be helped, right? I don't know why you moved, but I'm sure it was a legitimate good reason, right?
Yes.
Okay, so ultimately you began kind of rejecting that belonging. What did that look like?
It was a lot of acting out. Just didn't really care about hurting anyone's feelings. Didn't care about my grades. Didn't care how my parents felt. My parents were pretty strict, I would say, growing up, and so I struggled with that. I just felt like I couldn't make my own decisions. They may think differently, but I just, I was just a teenager, and I really struggled with my identity at that point.
So you were a teenager.
Yeah.
So was there this unsettled feeling between, like when you say teenager, 13, 12, 13?
Probably like junior high through high school.
Okay. So when you were 8, 9, and 10, what was it like?
I think fine. I think I just struggled with grades because we moved.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was fine in elementary school.
You know, one thing that Sherry Eldridge talks about is having this sense of personal power. And I know that, you know, as a child who, like yourself, who your life was pretty much out of control, you know, from the time you can't even remember when it was in control. And so that sense of powerlessness over your life, I mean, do you resonate with feeling like you wanted to make your own decisions, you wanted to do something, right?
Right.
And you didn't feel like you had that space to do it. I mean, as little as I kind of am thinking about my own home, but as little as things like, you know, I want to choose what I wear. I want to choose the cereal that we eat. I want to choose which spoon. This literally happens at my house.
Yeah.
One spoon might be better than another spoon. They look the same to me, but I want to be in charge. I want to choose it. Did you experience any of that?
My dad and I joke about it, but like I remember one summer that he was like, we're going to eat healthier so you can only eat Raisin Bran. Well, I want like Frosted Flakes or something else, and he would not let us buy it. So I think something even just as simple as that affected me more than I thought. And of course, you know, my parents didn't understand because I didn't even understand how something so small could be so big in my head.
Yeah. So you were fighting for a sense of being in control. Yeah. And that kind of looks, it's not like a pretty thing to always want to be in control. It doesn't look pretty. You know what I mean? On the outside.
Right.
I resonate with that, wanting to be in control.
Yes.
And so what happens when you have a mom that wants to be in control and a daughter that wants to be in control? Yikes.
Yeah.
Did you have that?
Yes. I think with both parents.
Yeah.
So.
And it comes from a good place.
Yeah.
On both sides, I'm sure. Okay. So what happened? Your grades, you're struggling with your grades. You know, we talked about this a little bit, but I think the grades, you know, as a parent, they teach us in trauma training that there's a can't versus a won't. And I think sometimes we see it as won't, like she won't do her homework.
Right.
But you could have possibly been experiencing a can't because of the developmental delay that you had from all the chaos of your early.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, who knows?
Right. Yeah, I think it was different back then. You know, that was, I don't know how many years ago, but I think it's so different now with, you know, ADD is bigger and autism and learning disabilities than it was when I was younger.
Yeah, we weren't we didn't really have our eye on that kind of stuff as much.
We weren't equipped and trained and like we are now.
Yeah. Okay, so you hit the teenage years. The rebellion is kicking into gear. Tell us about it.
Really turned to boys and just, you know, a friend group that wasn't probably my normal friend group. We went to church every Wednesday and Sunday, and so I was very involved at church. But like when I was at school, I didn't have anyone watching me. And so I felt like I could just, you know, goof around in class, or I don't know, I could make my own choices. When I was like 16, I think I started hurting myself. I started cutting.
Okay.
And, you know, like looking back, I never really wanted to kill myself, and I know that I did it for attention. But it was also because I was in control of that.
Yeah.
And so looking back, seeing how much I really did want to be in control. So.
Yeah, I think that's a a misconception about cutting. Yeah. What have you learned? Obviously, you've done some healing in that. What have you learned about that?
Just that that's not a healthy way to.
Yeah, but what have you learned was under that need?
Oh,
or what was the need? You know what I'm saying? Like to be in control, I think is what you just said.
Yes. I think to be in control, and that I didn't need to do that to get my parents' attention.
Okay, so part of it was to get their attention.
Yeah.
See me. Yeah. I mean, I think that's
or like see the hurt.
See the hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see that need, like we all want to be seen. We all want our hurt to be validated.
Yeah.
And that is like a way that there's blood. Can you see it? Like we can't see the sadness on the inside or the hurt or the grieving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's big stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a really big issue right now. So what do you think? How did they address the cutting?
I don't know if I remember, but I know they were hurt. And I think sometimes when people are hurt, it comes out in different ways.
Yeah.
So we get the anger and confusion and, then they put me in counseling. But at that point I was very, like, I'm not talking to somebody. And so I really didn't, yeah.
You were mad at that point. The anger had.
Yeah, I was kind of like not in the right place for me to start counseling. I feel like it should have been when I was younger to start it.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So cutting, hurting, were you involved in alcohol, drugs, anything like that?
No. Surprisingly.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I don't know how you escaped that one.
Yeah.
So then what? You're involved with some boys. I'm speculating boys that your parents weren't approving of.
Yeah, I don't think they liked like any of my boyfriends except like 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens?
So I was 17 and I had a boyfriend and he was like 3 years older than me. Had a daughter already.
Okay.
We met at work and he promised, the world and a life that was better than being grounded all the time. And so I went to a school that I had to leave my high school. My parents were like, you can either get your GED or go to, it's called Rains High School in Katy. And it's like all online so that you can get done faster.
Okay.
And so I did that, and I was done with my senior year in like 3 months, and I knew I was going to graduate, and so I planned on when I was leaving. And so I did. I ran out of the house one night with the alarm blaring.
Wow. Okay, so you didn't even sneak out.
No, I didn't even sneak out. I left with a bang.
Yeah. Gosh, what were you feeling then?
I was terrified.
You were terrified.
Yeah.
But there's something in you that was like, I'm doing this. Like, what do you remember?
I was just tired of
being controlled.
Yeah. And I had someone that was telling me I could be in control.
You were looking for that sense of personal power. I mean, I really see that. And I could see that in my husband too. His hurt and his fear, he responded very much in the same way as you. Like, I'm going to do what I want. You're not going to control me. Whereas I was more a pleaser, under the radar, I was doing things, but never enough to where I would be caught,
Yeah.
You were like, I'm getting caught. I'm turning on the alarm's going to blare. Everybody's going to know I'm out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were terrified.
Yeah. I mean, I remember like running down the street to my boyfriend's car and I didn't even put shoes on. Like, that's how ridiculous it was. Like, I was in my pajamas.
But how long were you gone?
I didn't go back. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What were your parents' response? What happened? I mean, did you have cell phones back then? I don't know are we in cell phone time?
Yes, but still like limited data, not a smartphone.
Yeah.
I remember calling my brother from a payphone to let him know it's okay.
Okay. And so you were 17, so he was about 15? Okay.
Yeah.
And what did he say?
He was just like, okay, I'm glad you're okay. Like, that was it. I was like, don't tell mom and dad. And I'm sure he did. Wow. I'm sure I also was like, I want you to tell them.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, see my hurt. Do you think that you were running away again for them to say, see my hurt?
I think so.
For you to say, see my hurt?
Yeah. I mean, I regret running away all the time.
You do?
Yeah. I know that was not okay to do, and I hurt my parents and my brother so bad. Yeah. I mean, I know that they had called the cops. I mean, I was 17.
Yeah.
I wasn't 18.
So what happened? They called the cops, then
Nothing.
did the cops do anything?
I don't know. I don't think
Yeah.
so. I don't know. We haven't really like fully talked about that. And I'm 32.
You might be about to, after your mom watches this,
I know.
she'd be like, honey, we need to sit down.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's kind of, there was something I wanted to read. In Sherry's book, she talks about, and I had forgotten about this book, and you're probably going to know about it because you're in schools too, but Margaret Wise Brown has this book called Runaway Bunny. And the story commences with a dialogue between a baby bunny and his mother. And the baby bunny announces, I'm running away. And the mother says, if you run away, I'll run after you, for you're my little bunny, the mother says. And then the little bunny says, well, if you run after me, I will become a fish in a trout stream, and I will swim away from you. If you become a fish in a trout stream, I will be a fisherman, and I will fish for you, the mother says. And so the story goes on, and the baby bunny finally stops running and says, I might as well just stay here and be your baby bunny. And we have another book I think it's called I Love You Stinky Face or something. And it's basically, if I do this, will you love me? If I do this, will you love me? If I do this. And Sherry says that adoptees are basically, they have a strong questioning of that, right? I mean, that makes sense. She also says that they have an unconscious thought that plagues them. If my emotions are too strong, I will be too much for you to handle, and where would that lead me? I'll be abandoned again. Does that resonate at all with you? Of just feeling like you're too much?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of thought that to myself is like, because I can resonate with being too much. And when you have big feelings and big emotions that you don't know how to express, you were trying to express them in the cutting and the running away. You're trying to express, I'm hurting.
Yeah. And like looking back, I had run away a few times before that too. And so I think, I don't know how I would react as a parent now, like if one of my kids ran away. And so I hope that I would respond the way they did. I mean, they always loved me and wanted me to come back. Kind of like that book. I feel like my parents would have, been like, I will come after you.
Yeah. Well, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but I just need to ask you, maybe putting you on the spot, but can you see that maybe I know you said I regret that every day, but you've also said, let me just ask the question. Maybe you needed to do that. You know what I mean? Like maybe you needed to do that.
Yeah, it's part of my story. I have a lot of my story, after that part of my life, where I made some really poor decisions that have essentially shaped me into who I am now. So.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, like grown adults who are 50, 60 years old struggle to express their needs. You know what I mean? And you were 4. You were 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, you were just a child who didn't understand her needs, her hurts, her loss, much less be able to communicate it. And I think that's why I think it's so valuable to have you sit here with us, because it's confusing as a parent. I can put myself in your parents' shoes and go, my gosh, I want to protect her. I want to keep her safe. I don't want her to, ever hurt. I want her to make good grades because I want her to go to college. I want her, and all these things, right?
Right.
Fear. We're scared. We're all scared. Like parents scared, the child's scared. How do we move through that? What do you want? What would you want if you had a chance to to tell your parents when you were 4 years old? What would you say?
Well, if it was 4, so my bio mom.
Well, any of them, both of them. But I mean, just what comes to your mind when you like knowing what you know now about yourself? Obviously, nobody has the ability to say this at 4. But what would you say?
Well, I think for my bio mom, I would, ask her to change for me. That's something I, always struggled with. I didn't understand why she would choose men over her kids because, like, I would never do that. Obviously, I'm different from her, but so that really affected me. Why won't you change for me? And then with my adopted parents at 4, I would just want them to love me for who I am and see me.
See you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that is so important, is can we see our kids? Can we see them? Because in absence of them feeling like we see them, they're going to do all kinds of things to try to help us see them.
Yeah. Yes.
Just open up our eyes and see them. It's hard. And that's what I think comes back to parenting ourselves, because sometimes we can't see them because of things that we haven't dealt with in our own lives.
Right.
Fears and stuff. Let's see. How have you come back around? I mean, I know you have a relationship now with your parents. I mean, how have you come through all of this?
Well, it took some time.
Yeah.
I remember I called my parents around my 18th birthday, and I called them to tell them I wanted my things.
Okay.
And so they let me come to the house and pick up my stuff. So I did, and then I left. I think we had met a few times in between, like when I was 18 and 19, just to talk and stuff and catch up. I've kind of blocked out a lot of that part of my life.
Sure. Just scared.
Yeah. But when I got pregnant with my daughter is when things really started changing. So I was 19. And I called my parents, and they came over, and I told them I was pregnant. And, they told me they loved me and that they'll do whatever to help me. And so they did. My mom was in the room with me when I gave birth. I stayed at my parents' house for like 3 months after I had my daughter. And they helped me with her. Because my husband and I were just dating at that time, and things were still crazy. And so I needed stability.
Yeah. Yeah. And
for me and my daughter.
You received it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then I got my own apartment with my daughter. And since then, my parents just have always been a big part of our life. Have always been supportive.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
Yeah.
So, do you still, like, I don't know, it's kind of like you got to choose. Like, they chose you, and then now you're choosing again to let them back in.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're so grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Ultimately, I'm thinking about, it's like I'm wearing the parent hat, and then I'm also wearing the child hat, and then I'm also, trying to see all of this through all these different lenses, which always happens to me when I sit in this chair. You can't help but apply it to your own life and your own childhood, and then again as a parent. But when you were away, like, what was it? And maybe you know this, and maybe you don't. What was it? There was obviously something there that you knew your parents still loved and accepted you. Because as a parent, if my child ran away, I mean, ultimately you have to surrender the fact that they have their own free will. And that, like, as much as I want you to be mine, as much as I want you to be my daughter and to accept my love for you, ultimately that was your choice. That's hard. As a mom, you know that now, right?
Yeah.
How did they do that?
I honestly have no idea, because
Okay.
I think, if that was me, I don't know how I could function every day.
I mean, were you getting phone calls from them? Please come home, please come home, please come home.
No.
Or did they just let you go?
They basically let me go. And I think, them doing that, I think there were a few things. Like, one, I don't necessarily know if I could have done that, but I know that it helped me in the long run because I was making my own choices and they weren't good, but I, learned and grew from those choices. But they let me make them.
And you needed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking, right? Like it's we think little children, little choices. Big children, big choices. Like, I'm sitting here in my mind thinking of all the little choices I could allow my children right now so that it hopes they won't need to feel empowered by some huge choice that could be detrimental to their life.
Yeah. My daughter, wants to start her own business, and I think she wants to be, an entrepreneur when she's older. And, she's done, her own baking stuff, her own, I don't know, arts and crafts stuff. And I'm like, whatever you want to do, you do that. Because I want her to have that control of her life right now. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm controlling how many pieces of gum they eat, which I did, which I do, that might be something that if I can remember that especially all children need a sense of empowerment, but especially children who have had none. If I can remember that, if I can give these little things, I mean, is that true? Is that what you're saying to me?
I think so. I may not be doing it all right as a parent now, but my daughter's room is a mess, and she's just like, this is just how I express myself. I'm artsy, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But there still needs to be some type of structure with that, but I let it go. Or my son picking out a really sugary cereal, it's not, he's going to be fine. Just, it's little things like that.
I don't know if I can do the sugary
cereal.
My husband's going, she can't do the sugary cereal. But I could give some healthy choices. I could give some choices of cereal that were with good, better, best.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah. Whatever works for you.
Yeah. But yes. Wow. Okay. I always sit here and when I walk away, I'm just like, that was for me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So I haven't looked at my notes very well here. You're still, I'm sure you're still in the process of rebuilding this relationship with your parents, and they don't live near you right now.
No.
So y'all talk on the phone or whatever. And obviously you're very open. You're expressing your needs now. You feel comfortable with that? Has that translated into your other relationships?
Yes, but that has taken some time. I actually am a huge people pleaser, but I have had some great friendships that have helped me along the way to be able to put my foot down and be able to say no when I need to, and just put up some healthy boundaries and not let people walk all over me like I normally do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So...
Yeah, you came in here today and you're like, can I sit in that chair?
Yeah.
I'd like to sit in that chair. I'm like, well, yeah, I usually sit in that chair, but I like how you asked. You're asking for what you need.
Yeah, that's new.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's new for me too. So is there anything in closing today, is there anything that you could say? You've already said so much. I mean, what really is hitting me is the power thing. You've already said so much, but is there anything that you would say, last words that you could offer to just think about your parents? Think about what you wish they might have better understood, if that's comfortable for you to say to them. It's a great conversation starter when you get out of when you send this to your mom to listen to. You'll be like, and by the way, Mom, after you listen to this, let's have a Zoom call or whatever. Yeah. Sounds like your parents are open to that. And you know what? We can't this is a beautiful thing to be able to do that. So is there anything that you would say to parents like them and like me who are raising kids like you? What would you say?
I think I would just say, like, don't give up. You know, I know it's hard right now, but the outcome is going to be so good. You know, I really struggled as a teenager in my early, I guess, 20s. But my parents never gave up. They consistently would talk to me, let me know that they were there. They loved me unconditionally. And we talk literally almost every day.
Now.
Yeah. And they live in Seattle, so they live far. And I know that if I needed them, my mom would be on a plane in a heartbeat. But I know that now, you know, and back then I really struggled with, am I loved unconditionally? And so that's why I acted out and did all the things that I did, and I learned that I am. So I would just say, hold on.
Prove it, didn't you?
Yeah.
You little stinker.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Good for you. Good for you, because that'll stick. You know it. You know, there's not a whole lot that you can do now. You know they are going to see you through it. So, yeah. So I'd say that to all you mamas out there, mamas like me, who it is hard to stand in that gap. It is hard to stand in that gap of, you know what? Will you love me if I do this? Like Madison Wright said a few weeks ago, I don't know, I think it was episode maybe 69, 70. She said, would you love me if I did this? Will you love me if I do that? And the answer she found and the answer Monika found is yes. And so I want to be that mom. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you did it. We made it through. Thank you. Thanks for listening. I hope that you got something from this. I hope that you were able to see your son or daughter or yourself in the story. I know I was. I got some big takeaways. So don't forget to scroll down to the bottom and hit follow. And as always, I love it if you'd hit those 5 stars and leave a rating or review. And we'll see you next week.
Mama's well.
Yes, she is.